Hey folks, welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we've been in York. I've been coaching someone for the Day 1 Assessment Centre, currently being run by the Metropolitan Police, Thames Valley Police, and I do believe Sussex Police now, and this is going to expand right through the country. And you're probably wondering, what are all these shapes about? Well, as I'm just doing one-to-one coaching, it was really difficult to reproduce a role play for my client today, where they could practice dealing with the two role play. So here's the thing at the Day 1. They've got rid of all of the Westshire Centre nonsense, role players that have no emotions whatsoever, role playing a customer services officer at a shopping centre that doesn't exist, dealing with people that show no emotion and they've got about 15 lines in the world. No, they've changed it now, and I think it's a really positive move, this. The Day 1 Assessment Centre involves two role plays. One of them, you're going to deal with a one-person role play. It's about early intervention, and you're going to be dealing with a vulnerable person. The second one is about a dispute, a neighbourhood type dispute with two people. And oh my goodness, by all accounts, they're going to be going for it. So a lot of my clients have come back to say, of course I can't tell you the detail of what's happened, nor do I want to know. However, you could hear them shouting at each other outside the room. You could hear them shouting at each other, and when you walk through the door, oh my goodness, they're really going for it. So what we looked at today was a plan of attack, not really attack, well, I shouldn't use that word really, but a plan of approach that we can utilise for dealing with two role players, because we've got to choreograph where they are and how we deal with them. Now, for those of you on my courses, go to the client only Facebook group, type in Day 1, and it will bring up videos where I tell you stage by stage how to use the CUTSA non-contact conflict management model to deal with the role players. But today I just wanted to show you how to actually choreograph their movements. So we're going to walk through the door. Here we are. Here's our two role players having an argument, really going for it. The air is going blue with their interactions with each other. And you may have seen some of the videos I've already put out there. If you look on the YouTube channel or Facebook, you'll see I've put some videos out there of footage of two role players and someone being the police officer candidate actually tackling this sort of issue from my seminars, because we run this sort of thing in my seminars. So what I advocate is a three-stage approach, because what tends to happen without anyone understanding the three-stage approach is they walk through the door and go straight up to them and try and start dealing with them. A good police officer will always stop and observe to see what it is that they're dealing with. So you've got 10 minutes to deal with this. You've got plenty of time to just spend 5 seconds at the door, just watching and observing what's going on. They are not going to be doing fisticuffs, so you don't have to worry about separating them. There will be no contact in this role play. This isn't the sort of role play where you need to demonstrate your contact skills in moving people to one side, arresting them, stop searching them, or anything like that. All of that will come once you join the police. So we'll try and get their attention at that point, shall we, after we've watched and observed. But my guess is the role players will have a brief just to keep arguing. So we're going to move ourselves to the second position. Position 1, position 2, our second position, where we need to do some kind of intervention to get their attention. So what I'd suggest is something like this. Good afternoon, my name's Brendan, I'm one of the police officers from whichever police station they tell you you're from. I'm here to deal with an incident that we've been called to about two people arguing in the street. Have you noticed? I'm raising my voice, I'm getting their attention with something like this. Just going in and saying, hi, my name's Brendan, I'm PC such and such. They're just going to completely ignore you. They might even ignore you at this point, but you've given them the opportunity to take notice of you. Third step, I put myself here, so there's like a little triangle. Okay, you've got a triangle now. Don't put yourself in between them. Put yourself in a position where you've got one there, and keep yourself about sort of 3 or 4 feet away from is what I'd advocate. Perhaps a little bit further, 4 or 5 feet. So again, you need to announce who you are, where you're from, and why are you there. So now we've got to choreograph their movements. I go into this in a lot more depth in the videos in the client-only group and on my seminars, but once we've told them what our intention is and what we're hoping to achieve out of this interaction, we need to move them. So where we want to be next is here. So that interaction, we've moved one of the role players to one side and we've got an interaction with them. We're going to use this for the understanding phase of CUTSA. So we're going to do 5WH, we're going to TED-Pi our questions, and we're going to ask them in a simple to complex way. Once we've done that, and don't be surprised if this person here tries to throw some expletives or some insults that way, how are you going to deal with that? And don't be surprised if they actually do this and move themselves closer and start trying to interact with the other role player. If they do that, it's because it's in their script. They've been told to do it to see how you can manage that kind of conflict. So we need to choreograph them back to this position here. And then we are going to move to this person. And we're going to ask exactly the same questions that we asked that role player. Okay? Are you with me so far? So at this point now, we are in a position to bring them both back together. We've got all the information we need about the set of circumstances that have led to the incident that you're dealing with. It's going to be some kind of neighbour dispute, some kind of problem between two people, where criminal offences aren't being committed because I'm not expecting you to have any kind of knowledge of what a police officer would do in certain circumstances. So you don't need to have knowledge of criminal offences, powers of arrest, anything like that. So the third stage we want is where we are bringing them both back together and we're forming our triangle again so that we can talk to both of them at the same time. I demonstrate that you are communicating whilst you're talking, that you're looking at both of them as opposed to directing all your attention at just one of them. And this is going to be our define and summarize stage. And what we are looking for here, once we've done the define and summarize stage, is some solutions. So in our solutions, one of the things I look at is first thing, we need to try and mediate a solution with them. So in terms of mediation, when we've arrived in the initial scenario, we've got the role players. If we can imagine, that's role player 1's position, that's role player 2 position. They're not meeting. Okay, it's a bit like Brexit at the moment, isn't it? None of the parties are agreeing on anything. There's nothing going on where there's a shared sense of, yes, I can agree on that. So in this mediation phase here, what we want to do is get them to a position where they are like this. So we've got our two role players. And there's a sweet spot in the middle. That's where they're both agreeing on something. And once we've got both agreeing on something, we can then expand on that. So we're not going to get that far. We're not going to get sort of the holy grail of mediation from them. But if we can try and move them to this point where at least they're both agreeing on something as a partial solution to the problems that they're having as neighbours. We can follow this up with some, I'll give you this one for free. Suggest maybe that we're going to access council-run mediation services for them, and we're going to bring them in to help support them beyond today in terms of this mediated solution. We now want to start thinking about some enforcement. And in my videos, I talk about a range of different enforcement tactics that you could utilise for a neighbour dispute. And now we want to move from enforcement to prevention. And again, in the client-only group, there's some videos there where I talk about a range of interventions that you could utilise to prevent this from occurring in the first place. And where we want to be going with this is this sense of enabling community, enabling citizens. So this, everything I talk about on my seminars, everything that we look at on my seminars and on the client-only group, where I give you more than an insight into the sort of approach you should be taking in terms of mediation, enforcement and prevention, is all based on the work I did as a neighbourhood policing inspector in Greater Manchester Police, where I was a neighbourhood inspector for several years in 2 different locations. I've had a paper written by Sir Peter Fahey, the previous Chief Constable, for the Reform think tank on some of the work that I've done. I've spoken at conferences about this sort of work over the past several years. I'm currently still working with police forces on improving their problem solving and community engagement techniques, moving them more from a sort of service provision to a citizen enabler approach. And I've spoken internationally on this in Budapest and Munich, and for 3 years, it finished last year, as part of an EU project on their International Advisory Board, where they're looking to improve the relationship between the police and citizens across Europe. So that was done quickly, wasn't it? A big ask that was. But really interesting stuff. So I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about in terms of ensuring that our approach that we deliver here is one that's going to bring community together. And the feedback I've had from my clients is that the role players absolutely loved it. So by the time they got to the end, when they're delivering these preventative interventions, they had role players smiling at them. And they have scored really highly on the role plays as well, because this kind of stuff demonstrates the sort of values that they're looking for from the competency and values framework. So there you go, folks. A lot to think about. Not only have you got a lot to think about in terms of what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, but we've got to think about how we choreograph this 2-person role play so that the role players aren't taking control, so that we are maintaining control throughout. And this will need you to choreograph the event so that you are in control all the time and you're working towards some solutions. So folks, hope you found this useful. I'm afraid if any of you want any more one-to-one coaching, I'm not doing any more now until January 2020. My diary is so full that I've got to give myself a little bit of time just to breathe, relax, and take a look at updating the online courses. So no more coaching until January 2020. This is being made on the 2nd of October, just to give you an idea of the timescales. Nothing in October, nothing in November, nothing in December, January 2020. However, if you do want to find out more about how to succeed at the day one, your assessment centre, your final interview, every stage of the police recruitment process, then check the links below. Option 1 of the online courses, and what most popular one, it gives you access to the client-only group. It's £59, and you get this amazing access. What you get from this is the benefit of it's not just the past 7 years. I mean, I've coached and supported over 4,000 people into the police now, and that's a conservative estimate. Prior to that, as a serving inspector and sergeant, I spent 2 decades supporting my staff to succeed for interviews, specialist position interviews, for promotion boards, and we had amazing success, and that's what led me to do this kind of stuff. The models, the approaches that I developed work. They absolutely work. So you're getting a benefit here of about 30 years worth of experience in coaching and supporting people to succeed in police assessment, interview processes, because there is a technique to all of these things. Look, you do need the life experience behind you. You do need to be able to tell a story, and especially for the interview phase, about your past. You've got to have a past to be able to talk about. But the difference is I'll show you exactly how to present that, and I'll show you exactly what you need to do to master the role plays, virtual reality exercises, written exercises, all of the different things that you need to do as part of the assessment process. I've got the methods and the techniques, both from the borrowed and honed from the work I've done as a police officer, but also from other sectors. So in the course we take a look at how, for the vulnerable person role play, you'd utilise motivational interviewing theory, which comes from the world of clinical psychology and dealing with people with drug and alcohol addiction issues. And those techniques work so well. They're techniques that I'm utilising in the work I'm doing with problem solving with police forces and councils at this moment in time. We're looking at how to apply motivational interviewing to community members. So all of this stuff works. It so works. It works so well that, listen, if you do my courses, my seminars, and you do not pass at the end of it, all you need to do is send me proof that you've not passed and proof that you've done all the work towards the course, and I'll give you a refund. I've only given about 3 or 4 of those over the past year, so it's a no-brainer. And before the expiration of 24 hours from the time you sign up, if you think this isn't for you, send me an email and I'll give you a refund, because I don't want you doing this course if it's not for you. I've had that running for several weeks now, and I've just given one person a refund. And I'm quite happy to give them the refund. I just thought, it's not for me. I don't learn online very well, so okay, there's your refund. There's your refund. So folks, the link's below, and if you're not part of my Facebook support group, then please check out the link below. What an amazing group that is. There's almost 8,000 people in there now supporting each other towards the success in the police recruitment process and going beyond now. So there's a lot of serving officers there who are now being supported in their careers. So until next time folks, until my next video from sunny York, I shall see you soon. Bye bye for now.